let's start with Brazil against Spain. And I know we talked about, I talked about Brazil with Jules on Monday. But this was a 3-3 draw. This did not feel like a friendly at all. Dorival, the Brazil coach, says, I'm going to play my same 11. Like, I have no reason to go and rotate, keep clubs happy. I want to find out what I have, which makes sense. It's only a second game in charge. And the result was a game that had a ton of incident and some moments of real skill.
Yeah, and Brazil were outplayed in the first 20 minutes. Spain had all the play. It looked as though they were going to score more than just the 2 goals that they got. Olmo was playing brilliantly. Yamal was magnificent on the right wing. Nico Williams played one of the best first halves I've seen him play for a little while. Morata still inconsistent at times, but there was a time when Spain looked as though they were going to completely dominate the game against Brazil.
Yeah, and then Unai Simon kind of gifted them a goal, and then they got back into it. Endrick scoring with his first touch.
Yeah.
Can you just walk me through that a little bit? Because I think it comes off it's off of a corner kick. The ball goes back out, but it just literally looks like he's just standing there, and he just kind of swings his leg. All right, there was a deflection, but still, like, that's difficult to do technically, right?
It's fairly difficult, but the fact that the ball was coming to him quite quickly, he only has to make decent contact for the ball to go back very quickly. You know?
But wouldn't you have side-footed it? Wouldn't most people have side-footed it?
I don't think so. I think the way it came, I think you would go with your laces and try and hit it as hard as you can. The skill is keeping it down, which he did, and it took a slight deflection. And I would also say that Unai Simon, he was at fault for the first goal. I think he could have done a little bit better for that one as well. But it was a good strike, and obviously a top talented player.
All right, there was a lot of acrimony in this game at the end, and before it, obviously we've talked about Vinicius often being racially abused by opposing fans. Others saying that Vinicius actually, I don't want to say brings it upon himself, but he is going to be a figure of hate. And if you are a figure of hate because of the way you play the game, which involves often losing your cool, remonstrating with a referee, pushing opponents off the ball. We've seen him do all these things. There are some people out there who will feel totally wrongly and incorrectly empowered to then abuse you. And what happened in this game, there was no racist abuse as far as has been reported, but there were a lot of players, including some of his Real Madrid teammates, kind of getting in his face and saying, you're not helping with your behavior. And this comes a few days after, he gave that emotional interview where he was, he fought back tears and he says, I just want to play. And he complained about the racist abuse he got.
I fully agree with you. Nothing excuses racist abuse to a player. And you can't say he brings it on himself, but what he does, he plays the game in a way that many people don't like, including me. When I'm commentating on him, I get frustrated the fact that he's thrown himself to the ground in the very first minute, remonstrating with the referee, remonstrating with his opponent, then pushing and shoving the opponent, then trying to whip up the crowd. I don't think he is helping himself, and I know he's a very good friend of yours, but Ancelotti, I think, defends him a little bit too much. And I think at some point he's got to try and curb the way he plays the game. Does all that make him play better? Some people would say it does. It inspires him to play better because he's a fantastic footballer. But I think if he concentrates on his football and doesn't get involved in all the other stuff, he would be a world-class player. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I'd argue he is a world-class player now, personally. But it just the racist abuse part, when it does happen, complicates the whole. Of course, complicates the whole matter, and it's really difficult, I think, to beyond saying like the minute this happens, whoever's responsible needs to be punished. And La Liga I don't think they've gone far enough. I think they've shown more of an interest recently. We need to see the follow through, right? But you're absolutely right. The reactions, I mean, we saw 2 consecutive games where he went and he shoved an opponent. Even in this game, at one point, he goes and he just shoves Lamine Yamal to the ground. You can't do that And at some point, it will come back to bite you, because at some point, either an opponent will hurt you or the referee will more simply send you off.
Well, the game against Leipzig was a great example.
With Willie Orban, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there was no reason for him to do that. Willie Orban tried to make the most of it and said he was pushed in the face when it was actually his neck and his chest. But why do it? So there's something not quite right with his behaviour on a football field.